and welcome back to the Simplifiers podcast, where we take topics in business and in life and simplify it. Now, friends, you are in for a special, special treat, because if you have listened to literally any episode on this podcast, this woman's work has seeped through into the underbelly of it all and has influenced quite a bit of what you hear on this podcast. So I'm thrilled to welcome her here and have this conversation with you today. Her name is Danielle LaPorte, and she is a member of Oprah's Super Soul 100, a group who, in Oprah's words, herself says is uniquely connecting the world together with a spiritual energy that matters. Now, she's the creator of the Desire Map series, which is a heart-centered approach to finding your true power. This book has been translated in 10 languages. It's a day planner system. It's a multimedia course. It's a top 10 iTunes app, a workshop. Gotta take a breath. And a coaching program with leaders in 15 countries. So it's no small thing to sneeze at. She's also the author of White Hot Truth and another book that I love, the Firestarter Sessions, a guide to creating success on your own terms. Now, Danielle has been named one of top 100 websites for women by Forbes, and Eve Ensler herself calls her a force field of energy, wonder, humor, and love, and I agree with that. Danielle's charities of choice are V-Day, a global activist movement to end violence against women and girls, and Charity Water, setting out to bring safe drinking water to everyone in the world. So, I'd like to welcome to the Simplifiers podcast, Danielle LaPorte. Hey, Danielle.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're here.
Me too.
Yeah. And it's also nice that we are here surrounded by a plethora of 80 bazillion amazing books and magazines.
Mm-hmm. And guitars.
Which I have to say, the whole mix of it all is magic. But you know what? There's two books in this room that I'd like to talk about first. And it's not just because you're sitting here, but it is truly this book. This book right here, Firestarter Sessions, if you're listening to the podcast, this changed everything for me. And this came out 2012, right? Literally changed everything.
How? Why?
You know what I think is, when you read a book and something in your brain, it unlocks something and it's chick. And then all of a sudden that neural pathway connected with that neural pathway and you go, oh, this makes sense. It sparks something new. And what I think is interesting, your second book here, The Desire Map, this is actually the planner that I'm holding up. That also was a continuation of that neural pathway changing and sparking something new. It's all about core desired feelings. So tell us, what does that mean?
Your core desired feelings, in my definition, are your preferred states of being. So it's how you want to feel most of the time.
Yeah.
And because we're human and we learn through contrast, it's not about being in that state all the time, but it's having the awareness that that's how you want to feel to begin with, and having the belief that you can make choices to get yourself back to that place again and again. You're going to get off track. You're going to not feel the way you want to feel. You're going to feel the opposite of how you want to feel. But you have the self-agency to do whatever you need to do. And there's a long list or a short list to get back there.
Yeah.
But you're going to do that and get back to your core desired feelings. And I think our core desired feelings, and this has become clear. So it's been out Desire Map came out 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's turned into its own thing. And one thing I'm clear on is that really everybody's core desired feelings, whether it's courage, authenticity, connection, communion, rock and roll, water, ease, whatever, sexy, they're all qualities of the heart. It's all about getting back to your heart, which is, it might sound obvious when you look at it, but it wasn't obvious in the beginning. And now it is, which is great. Yeah.
So here's what I would love for you to simplify for us.
Yeah.
Is truly how to start to live our life with intention, both in our work and these businesses and brands that we're building and creating, but also in our life, in our everyday, and the small moments as well.
Well, I love that this is about simplifying because I think that the true wisdom is always really simple.
Yeah.
For me, if you want to live with intention, you get clear on how it is that you want to feel.
Yeah.
Do the desire map, don't do the desire map. But one, just even play with the belief, the idea that your feelings are really what are guiding you. And that if you have clarity around how you want to feel, then you can make choices aligned with that. That's it.
Yeah.
It's really,
It's
simple. It's really that simple.
But we make it so complicated because we're such funny human beings. We overthink. I have a badge on my purse that says the Overthinkers Anonymous Club. I mean, we do make it so much more complicated than that.
Well, there's lots to get out of the way between where you are and getting to what you desire, and who you think you are and who you really are.
Yeah.
And, this is where I'm really with Rumi. And, with respect to love, Rumi is saying it's not about seeking love outside of yourself or really from any source. Now I'm obliterating his poetry, but it's about removing the obstacles to love. And that's why it's complicated.
So I want to read a bit actually from Firestarter Sessions, if that's all right.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is literally, you guys, before page 1, disclaimers and admissions. This is what Danielle sets us up for and says, there's nothing I can give you that you don't already have. And that's key and critical. I think human nature is to look outside ourselves for the magic pill that will solve all the problems and woes in our life, right? And so you're just saying up front, hey, everything that you need, you already have in yourself. 2, you become a trailblazer by virtue of being your genuine self. It's that simple and that profound. 3, I want to be your favorite pyromaniac of clarity, love-fueled ambition, and results. I love that. I love having a cheerleader in my corner. And then 4, I may not know you, but I love you already. There, I said it.
That's great. I haven't read that in a long time. Thank you for that.
It's beautiful.
All true. All sincere. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think that, again, there's beauty in that and simplicity, but there also is, for me, there's permission. For me.
Yeah.
Permission to explore, permission to surrender, and also permission to just get to the core and the truth. So let's bring it back to business. So when people set business goals for themselves, where do you think they go wrong?
Oh, business goals are one of my least favorite things. I have a really contentious relationship with goal setting.
Yeah.
Where they go wrong is that the goals are usually externally driven. So it's about the stuff you want. It's what you want to do and have an experience.
Yep.
And we're often hearing somebody else's voice in our head. It's a voice of authority, another expert, someone we're competing with, someone we're jealous of, someone we want to be. It's legacy driven. It's often your mother. And
you know her.
Or, my experience as a new ager is, I thought I'd gotten over all of those things. I'd been in enough therapy that I'd dissolved all those voices, but I still had this self-critical, omnipotent deity that I was trying to be good for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm over that finally. Yeah. So those goals are disconnected from our core desired feelings, from qualities of the heart. And there's something that's become clear to me, I'd say in the last couple of years too, about where we go wrong. So first is there's the disconnection. Let me elaborate on that a little more. Everything you're doing, everything you want to bring into your life, the job you want, the promotion, the stuff you bring into the living room, the shopping, what you eat, the people you hang with, is all because you want to feel a certain way.
Yeah.
That's it. It's in your blood, it's in your psyche, it's in your consciousness. So why don't you get clear on how it is that you want to feel? And what we hope is that we're going to feel a certain way when we achieve that goal. You can talk to anybody. I'm sure, you've done hundreds of these podcasts. How many of us have, we worked, we toiled, we sweat. We did the metrics, we did the achievables, we had the bucket list, we got there and we're like, meh. And not just meh, but you feel that emptiness and then all this self-criticism rushes in.
Right.
I went after the wrong thing. What's wrong? It's just another.
And then you chase out something else, right?
It's a vicious circle. Just becomes another what's wrong with me? What have I done wrong conversation. Mm-hmm. So that's misstep, let's say, number one. Illusion number one. Illusion number two, and this is where, I feel really preachy and righteous about it, is I think we're going after goals that aren't inclusive. And I believe that for the sake of being alive and for the sake of love and for moving humanity forward, we should be including other people's joy in the creation of our own joy. That's purpose.
Okay.
And it's a guaranteed sure way to fulfillment. Does not mean it's going to be easy. It won't be without challenge and dark nights and all of that. But it's getting a little short in the day in terms of humanity, to be just going after things that are just for you and your satisfaction. You can want the same things. Want whatever you want. Want to have the kids, the beloved, the beautiful home, abundance in your life. Want to have enough. Just include other people in that vision. That, my prayer now is when I'm praying to manifest stuff, to have the clarity to create what I desire. My prayer is always, that I serve with joy, that joy be my service. And gratitude is a constant for me. It's actually a core part of the whole desire mapping process.
Yeah.
And when I give thanks for my blessings, it's may all be so blessed.
Yeah.
And it keeps me awake. Yeah.
It sounds like it also is a deepening of the practice. And I imagine has been the evolution as well of, the desire map being out for the last 5 years or so, of when you start to include others. I also wonder, part of it for me is when I say something out loud to somebody else, it also expands, like you're a photographer and you've just expanded the lens to zoom out a little bit more.
Yes.
Less focused in on you and your tiny universe, but more into benefiting a greater footprint, right?
And this is such an important conversation to have in the context of business.
Yeah.
Because I think at this point, if your business is not including making a social contribution and healing the planet, it's not that you're neutral and you're doing no harm. You're actually part of the problem if you don't have a healing, contributive objective in your business. It's just, we really got to wake up. And not to just come from the, Zen master, wake up, but also it's just so much more deeply fulfilling.
Yeah.
And not always, but it is often more profitable.
Well, I can think of quite a few examples of clients of ours or even colleagues that, integrate a charitable aspect to their business and openly talk about it. A friend of mine who runs Ethical Hour, which is ethical conscious marketing online, a portion of her proceeds goes back to fund Kiva loans, small micro loans in Africa and all places. It's like, right, I helped build 13 schools. I mean, like, that's incredible. And you think, well, you're going to need loads and loads of cash to do that. No, she's a small business owner. She does her tiny portion to that. And, I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, this is the practice of tithing. I mean, it's been happening in churches for ages, and so many of us don't have the community of church anymore. But it was just a given. You gave 5% of your income to the church.
Yeah.
And it's time. Yeah. And I really want to use my platform. It's like, I love hearing people talk about how they're giving.
Yeah.
I think, I learned this from my early days, actually. This is a sweet moment being in London talking about this. But, one of my first real jobs and last jobs was working for the Body Shop when Anita Roddick was really just, at her zenith.
Yeah.
And, she was one of the first leaders to coin the term social responsibility.
Yeah.
And our practice was to be very vocal about our contributions that we were making, that it really didn't do anybody good to be anonymous about your charitable giving and to not just write a check, but to get in the community and volunteer and really sweat on behalf of your giving.
Yeah. So I encourage anyone that's listening right now, just take a moment, press pause right now on your podcast player and think about what ways you can contribute, even if it's teeny tiny in your mind's eye and you think it's insignificant. Just pause and think, like, what are 5 charities that you could be part of? Whether it's volunteering to be on their board or just if it all is writing a check, then that's fine.
Yeah.
And come back and maybe something is in here, and follow that thread a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to switch gears a little, and I want to tell you a little bit of a story.
Okay.
I'm curious. Flashback to November 2015. Think about where you were in your life. I'll tell you where I was.
So I'm terrible with dates. You've already know that from our pre-conversation. I don't even know when my books came out, but you tell me where you were. Yeah. Okay.
So November 2015, I am in Alicante, Spain, which is a beautiful bottom right corner of Spain next to the beach, beautiful blue skies. And I was having a bit of an existential crisis. My business was going fine. A deal or two had gone a bit not as expected, and it shook my confidence. And so I realized at that moment, I need to take a break. I need to take a break. I need to take myself to an Airbnb in the middle of nowhere, Spain, and get clear on what it is I want and need and where I want to head next. So I took the desire map with me. I took a big old stack of Post-it notes.
Did you DM me about this?
Oh, I'm sure I did.
Okay.
And I took a big old stack of Post-it notes and markers, and I just literally holed up with some coffee and some snacks, and just said, right, this is a tool that maybe can help me. Long story short, it was this beautiful condo that had these giant windows that had, like sort of a madwoman, Post-it notes everywhere of going through the work and actually doing this work, like really pulling back all the vulnerability layers and going, okay, well, how do I want to feel? And so the first Post-it notes that I wrote down were, well, I want to feel accomplished. I want to feel appreciated. I want to feel validated. I want to feel ba 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 ba.
I see where this is going.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there comes to the kicker in your book where you go,
don't do that.
Hey, guess what, Mary? That's a bad idea. And I go, what? Like, this is what I really want.
It's not the best idea.
It's not the best idea. So then this is the clincher in your book, and I hope I'm not giving away too much. I really want
give it all away.
Want you to expand. Is that you said point blank in your book, this is great, Mary, but you cannot rely your core desired feelings on someone else giving this to you.
Yeah.
It can only be things that you give yourself.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, because you're doomed if you're relying on anybody else to help you feel the way you want to feel. That is you are just putting yourself in the victim seat, and you're going to stay there if you keep doing that. That is not deliberate, intentional creating. Is not self-agency. Is not sexy. Creating your reality is about assuming and celebrating your capacity to create how it is that you want to feel.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that, because a lot of couples desire map now, it doesn't mean that you don't want to share with people your core desired feelings, that you don't want to expect it from them in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Or on the other side, I would love to know your core desired feelings, because if I'm working with you or in any kind of relationship with you, I'd be like, hey, I can help you feel respected. I can help you feel a sense of celebration.
Yeah.
I'm going to super go wild on your birthday, whatever it is. So my early learning with this was, I was doing a desire map workshop, and somebody had said, I just want to, and she had a list similar to that. I want to feel adored. I want to feel honored. And she was so suffering in her marriage, and all of her energy was going towards that pain, as it naturally does when it's what's causing you the most pain. But if we just take a deep breath, and so let's talk about how to shift that. It's really, really simple. Rather than saying to life or to the other people in your life, I want to feel adored, appreciated. What were some of yours?
Accomplished. Validated.
Validated. Then just change that wording to, I want to feel adoration. I want to feel validating. I want to feel validation. And you'll notice, you can even feel your energy shift. It's like, wow, how could I give this experience to myself?
Yeah.
How could I, and I always love when you kind of trip into this phase, which is, how could I do that for somebody else? And we all know, anybody who's listening to this podcast is in the space of personal development, self-realization. You know what you give, you receive. Just why don't you just validate the barista that day for being awesome?
Yeah.
And then you're going to feel a little more genuine when you validate yourself, and then you just watch it come your way. And then you'll actually grow out of that set of core desired feelings. Yeah.
So here's how my words
evolved. Tell me.
And these are still
true. And are you
true.
going to tell us your core desired feelings?
Yes. These are, well, sometimes they interchange depending on the week or depending on my menstrual cycle, really. But my core desired feelings slightly shifted from, instead of I want to feel loved with a D, it's I want to feel love.
Yes.
Bottom line.
Yes.
I want to feel radiant. I want to feel connected. I want to feel deep contentment. I also, depending on, again, the weeks, I want to feel nourished, comes up, or feel graceful. And those words truly, when I shifted from accomplished, validated, whatever, to empowered, deep contentment, it's a whole different energy, and it changes everything.
It does.
So then you flip the page to the next chapter. So what am I going to do in order to feel the way I want to feel? For me, it changes everything in that now I go with that lens and that compass. Do I take that business opportunity? Do I say yes to that client? Do I say no to that client? And that's where it translates into business. Yeah.
I have not entered into a number of business situations because of my core desired feelings. Like this does not feel like union. This doesn't feel, I have zero sense of celebration around this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real guide.
It really truly does change everything. And it's actually seeped into how we run our team retreats. So when we do our quarterly retreats with our team, we're all now remote, so we do them on video, but it's a question around the table. Well, how do you want to feel, in your role in this team, in your life? And okay, so what are we going to do? What are we as a team, as a collective, going to say yes to? And what are we going to say hell no to as well?
Yeah, when you know that someone's core desired feeling is freedom or sovereignty or liberty or something in that freedom genre, you're just like, noted. All right. She needs some flexi Fridays. Yeah.
So, okay, right. So we're talking about really heart-centered work in my mind. Like, it's all well and good, and I can hear somebody listening to this going, yeah, that sounds nice, Danielle. But what happens when you're going through heartbreakingly huge change or suffering? How do you center your heart then?
Yeah. Those are the trials where you have to reach for how it is you want to feel. And I've been through some, dark days myself and really had to put this to the test. And here's a quick way to get clear on your core desired feelings. You think about all the ways you don't want to feel, and you may be feeling that right now. I mean, anybody who's in that rough place right now, constricted, anxious, hard done by, sad, depressed.
Yeah.
Great. You're aware of those things. You're not denying those things. You're going to honor and respect those things. What's the opposite of those things? Those are your core desired feelings. Lit up, joy, flow, presence, whatever it is. And you can just make a micro choice that day. What are just 5 little tiny baby things that day that are going to help you feel a little closer to those things.
Yeah.
Yep. And then also using your heart as your guide. And this is a muscle to work. So a lot of people have really head center, logic driven, externally driven goals. This is a real paradigm shifter for them. It's like, how can I even hear my heart? You might not at first. You exercise, just go back, breathe into your heart center, literally your heart center, and what comes to mind? And maybe it's just one word that just says easy. Make the easy choice. What's the easy thing to do today? Yeah.
I think what's interesting for me is when I tap into that intuition, that tiny little voice inside me, I sometimes like to imagine her as my 8-year-old self. And when I was 8 years old, I used to love to hide underneath the stairwell in our townhouse. And that was just my cozy little spot, close the doors and have my little space. And what I've learned over the years, certainly following your work and how it's influenced my work and how I help others, is when I listen to her and truly listen and not just say, oh, yeah, I should do that and I'll do that later, but actually to listen and say, and she says, God, I really need to be nourished today. I go pause, big glass of water. It could be as simple as that. Hydration is everything.
So simple, so powerful.
And I think what happens is little Mary inside goes, oh, you're listening. I'm going to speak up a little louder next.
Oh.
And I'm going to speak up a little more.
Can we talk about inner child work?
Yes.
Okay, this is simplicity. Whether it's 8-year-old Mary or it's your baby self or your 3-year-old or your 10-year-old, that is what is life transforming. Yeah. Because when you honor, so again, many people listening to this, I'm sure you're familiar with inner child work. Really, it's a metaphor for your deep sensitivity. And culturally, more specifically within business, feelings themselves are pathologized. We are talked out of, we are shamed out of being overly sensitive, especially with women. We're called hyper emotional. Actually, our capacity to be in our feelings, know our feelings, express our feelings, and P.S., be aware of everybody else's feelings in the room is a superpower. It's the superpower that's going to heal the planet, bring people together, mend all kinds of divides. So we need to be leaning into that. It's a different kind of leaning.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about another kind of leaning and that's been like lean into like the drive. No. Lean into the deep sensitivity, honor that deep sensitivity. And you're learning how to mother yourself. Because when you're not mothering yourself, when you're not taking care of yourself, you are prey to all sorts of other messaging and everybody else's agenda. And that's how you get adrenal fatigue. And that's how you go bankrupt.
And make bad decisions.
You make bad decisions.
And live a misaligned life.
Yes. And integrating, tending to 8-year-old Mary, deep sensitivity, it's revolutionary.
Yeah.
If that's a one takeaway you get from this conversation, think about Mary's 8-year-old self. Yeah. Think about your own 8-year-old self. And what does he, she, they need that day? And if it's more play, and it doesn't mean you're not going to be a baller and get a ton of shit done and rock it, but just leave some space for rest.
Maybe eat your sandwich outside in the sunshine.
Yeah. Or, my inner child loves attention.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about tending to my inner child would come up a lot with speaking gigs and with events. And I used to have this pattern of I get really sick. It's a great self-sabotage thing before gigs because I wasn't tending to my deep sensitivity.
Yeah.
Pushing too hard, whatever. But I also realized that my, little Danielle wanted to go rock it. Just remember she was there. And I get to love the attention. I had a real pattern for like rebuffing stuff. Oh, it's not me. You did all the work. It's not my thing. Deflect.
Yeah.
And a certain part of that is super healthy. But rest and play.
Yeah. And when you listen to that voice, I think, and you also not just listen, but you do something towards it, I think you're getting deeper connection. And that's one of my core desired feelings is feeling connected inside me, not feeling necessarily I need to be connected with the world at all times.
You listen.
That's where transformation happens. So again, coming back to business terms, aligning your business goals and your revenue numbers. I mean, are you going to take the book deal? Or are you not going to take the book deal?
Yeah.
Are you going to say yes or no? Are you going to hire that person and build a bigger and bigger and bigger hamster wheel of cash flow and payroll? Or are you going to keep it this and, continue on? So I imagine the evolution of the desire map over the years has then turned into this amazing day planner. Can I talk about this for a bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the Desire Map as a day planner is fascinating to me as a tool. Now, granted, most everything in my life has all been automated or put to the cloud, and that's just, my simplicity
I know you are systematized.
process. Let's just be real. But what I love about this planner is every week there is a place where you just ask me, and I like to think of it in your voice. You ask me 7 or so questions.
I am asking you. And you write in pen.
I do. I write in pen. Well, there's no reason to erase. This is it. This is the truth. So I love this as a practice for myself. While my calendar is all up in the cloud, I don't really use that part. I use it for this. Yeah. Monday morning, very first thing, as I get into the office, nice cup of coffee sitting there, I put my headphones on to my favorite playlists. And I ask myself these questions. Like this week's questions were, what core desired feelings need extra attention? And then there's a section of, note why you're grateful. Put down the people you're grateful for and because they have done or said this. Hey, what's not working? Don't hold back. Stop doing. Usually that's where the PowerPoint is like, oh, Mary, stop. Stop after 2 cups of coffee or whatever it might be that week. And then this is my favorite part, is the declarations and encouragement. And the way I use this tool personally is I write a little letter to myself. So, dear Radiant One, comma, and write what it is that my heart is trying to tell me, my 8-year-old is trying to tell me right here. And sometimes she is a cheerleader. She's like, you got this. I believe in you. You're doing amazing. Stop thinking you're broken. Blah, 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 blah. And other ones, it's just a sweet love note of like, hey, do you remember that thing we talked about a while ago? Blah, blah, blah. Next section is relationships and organizations. So a loving action or ask. Who do you need to ask or to say something to? And that I think is also powerful because that gives me clarity of like, okay, Mary, what am I going to do today to make some change? And then there's always a soul prompt at the end. And again, it's just open writing. I feel like literally using your planner, there's a book inside here for me. Whether I ever release that book out into the world, but I've done so much writing and so much clarity work that it keeps me, and it takes 1 hour, Monday morning, keeps me laser focused in on what's most important. 6 or 7 questions.
Oh, I love that account.
Yeah.
Thank you. That gives, I should create just a journal. I should pull all that out and create a separate product for people who have other day planner systems, which would essentially be competing with myself, but that's okay.
But
okay,
I think
noted,
for me, it's perfect. And then at the end of the month, there is kind of an assessment. Like, how did this month go? What didn't go as planned? All of the things as well, which I really loved as well. But again, I think my poor little goldfish brain, 8 seconds later, I'm like, oh, hello, shiny. Oh, hello, shiny.
Yeah, but that all soaked in.
This keeps me here.
Yeah. I mean, everything I'm creating now are tools for reflection.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm clear. I exist to alleviate suffering and amplify joy. Took me a long time to figure that out. And we do that by creating tools to live a more reflective life. Yeah. Because we're just not stopping enough to be contemplative. And and reflection is, I think, reflection is like yoga for your spirit. We have to do it to stay well.
Daily practice.
Yeah.
If I do yoga once a quarter, I hate it. I fucking hate it. If I do yoga a couple times a week, I'm like, this is pretty good. I enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a daily thing. So just out of curiosity, what are your core desired feelings at this moment?
At this moment, my core desired feelings are love, union, vibrant, celebration, and joy.
And so mote it be, right?
Yeah.
So if you're intrigued by this day planner, I highly, highly recommend that you get your hands on them. Danielle is going to be releasing the 2020 Desire Map Planner Collection very, very soon. So click the link in the show notes for access to that. And also our listeners get $5 off. Hey. It works.
Yeah,
I love it. So make sure to click over to our show notes at thesimplifierspodcast.com, or you can simply go to DanielleLaPorte.com/planner and click in the discount code Simplifiers. Now, you got to know how to spell Simplifiers to actually get it right. So might as well just go over to our show notes, and then you'll figure it out from there. So I have a couple questions for you before we wrap up. And again, thank you so much for your time today.
This was great.
First question for you is this. What is one book or blog that you're reading these days that you feel is either inspiring you or maybe poking holes and challenging your belief system?
Right now, I'm really into the work of Joe Dispenza. And the book is Supernatural, Becoming Supernatural.
Yep.
And even just following him on Instagram, there's a lot of overlap between. So I'm really excited that there's so much science coming out that the research has been being done for a while, but now it's becoming more mainstream where people are excited by the revelation, the scientific revelation, that it's actually the heart that is informing the brain. Mm-hmm. That's really exciting stuff in my line of work. Yeah. It's the heart that's calling the shots.
Yeah. We'll put a link in the show notes for that book, so if you guys want to check that out. And I have to say, I mean, I sometimes feel like I'm Sherlock Holmes. Like every conversation I have with people like you, or it links to another conversation we've had on the podcast. I mean, the people that come to my mind are Dr. Gary Chapman, The 5 Love Languages, or Kate Northrup with Do Less and tapping into your woman's cycle. Blew my mind. And it all is interconnected. And I think it comes back to the heart. It comes back to shifting the mindset. It comes back to saying hell no to the hustle and the grind and the blah.
Yeah, lead with your feelings.
Yeah. And maybe there's something there. Right. Why? In fact, no, there's something there.
Everything's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us, who's one person in your network, somebody that you know personally, that you just feel is up to brilliant things, that we could shine a spotlight onto them right now? And who knows, maybe one day we'll have them on the podcast.
Terry Cole, psychologist. Her work around specifically women and boundaries, brilliant. She just breaking it down. What's your, I think she calls it your blueprint for love. And I've been in one of her workshops, and you can just see the cloud thoughts with everybody going, that's me, that's the answer. Yeah, so she's creating a lot of relief for people.
Yeah, and I think in that work you have to surrender and come to terms with, the truth. We'll put a link in the show notes for Terry as well. She's impeccable. So I believe gratitude and simplicity go hand in hand.
They do.
Yeah. What are you grateful for?
Yeah. Oh, what am I grateful for?
Today.
Oh, I'm grateful to be alive. Yeah. My prayer these days is that simple. Just, with everything that's going on the planet.
Yeah.
I've gotten into some valleys of despair and thought it would just be easier to not be here. These are difficult times. And now, I've really shifted to this place of what a gift to be here now, and to, I'm really committed to bring lightness to where there's dark, and to clean up the, whether it's picking up the garbage on the beach or helping someone get their psychic clutter out.
Yeah.
So I'm more excited to be here than ever. Not always easy, but devotion is its own medicine. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So where do people find you? Where do you hang out online, if anywhere at all?
I like hanging out on Instagram.
Yep.
It's really the center of my cyber universe.
Yep.
And I'm at DanielleLaPorte.com.
Great.
Really easy to find.
We'll put all those links in the show notes so you can find her there and connect. I love your Instagram stories, especially your Insta stories themselves, where it's just behind the scenes, a day in the life of Danielle. It's nice to see a glimmer of that. So I have one final question for you, but before I ask you that, I want to show you a little thing.
Okay.
So 7 years ago, you and I met.
Yeah.
Very briefly.
Yeah, where were we?
Literally 30 seconds in your life, a blip. You've probably met thousands and thousands of people. You're speaking at the Texas Conference for Women.
Oh, God.
Your book, the Firestarter Sessions, just had come out, I think, shortly before that, right?
Yeah.
And you were signing books. And so here I come.
Did we hug? Did I hug you?
Oh, of course we hugged.
Yeah.
Yes, we're both huggers. And you wrote in something in my book, love. And I remember to this day what you said to me. You said, Mary, do all things with love. And it was simple and it was just sweet. And it was
good
just a
one.
moment. And you know what I remember from that is, I'm a business coach. We do thousands of things in a day, but we don't even realize what the little moments add up to and how those ripple out in such profound ways. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you. Those 1,000 daily choices that you make and those thousands of people that you touch in any given shape or form, they ripple. And I think, just to remember that is that all it takes is one. And then it ripples out. And that's how we change the world. That's how we do it. So thank you.
I really felt that. Thank you.
Yeah. So my final question for you today is this. Someone, somewhere out in the world is listening to this podcast right now. And she is inspired. She started to think, well, what are my core desired feelings? What is it that I truly want to feel before I even figure out what I'm going to do to live my life with intention? But she is going through some big, heartbreaking change. If you could whisper one thing into her ear right now just to encourage her, what would you say?
It's so worth it. You get to the other side. It's inevitable. It is preordained that you get to the other side. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people have been through what you're going through, and they got to the other side. You will be more love, more radiance, more beauty, more wisdom, more truth, more joy, more balance, more harmony. It's there. This is one step to vitality.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you. This was great.